Today I will share with you a recipe for making garlic pizza bread. A very simple, time-saving recipe that will bring you the taste of an Italian pizzeria at home. I dare to say that this pizza bread not only tastes good, but is even healthy. Finally, I have prepared a small bonus for you in the form of baked bread from this same dough. But let's see what ingredients I need to prepare this homemade pizza bread. For the dough I will use plain 00 wheat flour with a combination of plain spelt flour, salt, a minimum of dry yeast and water. Other ingredients I need for this garlic pizza bread are olive oil, garlic, salt, ground black pepper, oregano, rosemary, fresh parsley, and flour for dusting. How do I make the dough for this garlic pizza bread? If you already know my recipe for the easiest homemade bread, the process of preparing the dough will be familiar to you. I provide the link below under this video. First, I mix the dry ingredients. I weigh and sieve the necessary amount of flour. I use plain wheat flour and spelt flour for this dough. If you do not have spelt flour, you can prepare it with the whole wheat flour. Spelt flour is a type of whole wheat flour. It's even healthier. It contains more protein, essential amino acids, vitamins and minerals. If I used only spelt flour, the dough would not be so fluffy with the minimum amount of dry yeast that I use to prepare this bread dough. When the flour is sifted, I add salt. I only use coarse salt or kosher salt. Finally, I add maximum of 1/3 teaspoon of dry yeast. You really don't need more yeast for the dough to rise. Adding more yeast may speed up the process, but the dough may be harder to digest. I mix dry ingredients prepared in this way well with a wooden spoon. The last ingredient for the dough preparation is water. I use tap water at the room temperature. Again, I mix everything with a wooden spoon until all ingredients are blended into one dough. It takes me about 2 minutes. I cover the bowl with food foil and tighten it with a rubber band or cover it with a bowl cover. This is the same process when I make bread. I put the bowl with the dough in the refrigerator and let it rest for no less than 8 hours, but no more than 48 hours. After the necessary waiting time, I take the dough out of the refrigerator. I let the dough that I am showing you in the refrigerator for 24 hours. Now I need to prepare the dough for rising. There are two techniques that I can use. I will show you the technique of stretching the dough. You can see the second technique in my bread making video. So I take out the dough and start rolling it out on a clean kitchen counter. As you will see, it is very simple. Be sure to wet your hand. You will be able to work with the dough better and it will not stick on your fingers. When the dough is stretched, I fold it into a small square. Finally, connect all the corners into one. Turn the dough over and form a ball with sliding movements. By the way, the sound in the background is my parrot, African Grey Sarah. She is noisy when I am not paying attention to her. I put the dough back in the bowl and cover the bowl with the dough again. In this way, I let the dough rise for at least 6 hours, ideally 8 to 12 at room temperature. Again, the same procedure as when I am preparing the bread. And we are almost reached the finals. Before baking, I preheat the oven to 250 degrees Celsius with top and bottom heating. For the pizza, I will use a large baking sheet in which I will cut out the same size of baking paper. Next, I prepare flour for flouring the board, olive oil with pressed garlic, chopped garlic, rosemary, salt and ground black pepper, parsley, and oregano. With this kind of preparation, I can start making garlic bread pizza. I remove the lid from the bowl. As you can see, the dough works beautifully. I flour a board on which I will turn out the leavened dough. I also flour the dough so it doesn't stick when I work it. I shape the dough into a length and then transfer it to a sheet with baking paper. I stretch the dough evenly to reach each baking sheet corner. The dough prepared in this way can be flavored with ingredients. I start with olive oil with crushed garlic. I gently spread olive oil on the surface of the dough with a brush. You really don't need much oil. As you can see, a few rubs are enough. You can use even less or use more garlic. Next, I season with salt and black pepper, just a few pinches. Then I add rosemary and oregano. Lastly, I add garlic slices. I spread the garlic evenly on the dough. I am going to bake the garlic pizza bread dough prepared in this way. The oven is already nicely heated. I put a tray in the middle compartment of the oven and continue baking at 250 degrees Celsius with the top and bottom heating. I bake the dough at this temperature for approximately 10 minutes. As you can see, the dough rises beautifully. After 10 minutes, I reduce the temperature in the oven to 220 degrees Celsius and continue baking for another 6 to 8 minutes. You can easily check whether the dough is baked when its color is orange or slightly brown in places, then it is ready. When the dough is baked, I turn off the oven and take the pizza bread out of the oven. I leave the dough on the baking sheet for about 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I move the pizza from the baking sheet to a wooden board and remove the baking paper. I gently gradually lift the pizza bread until the paper is peeled off and removed. Finally, I sprinkle the bread with chopped parsley. It refreshes the pizza bread nicely. I cut the dough. If you like garlic, you can also spread more garlic at the end. I transfer the cut dough to the basket. You can enjoy this garlic bread pizza on its own with red wine or as a side dish to salad or cheese. It's a delicacy. At the end, I have prepared a small bonus for you. From the same dough, I made whole wheat bread. The baking procedure is exactly the same as in already mentioned easiest bread in the oven, the link of which I put below. Nicely fluffy, crispy bread. Convince yourself with me. If you like this recipe, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more posts. I wish you pleasant baking. I look forward to seeing you with my other recipes about pizza and its preparation.